Hello and welcome to another in our series of Bromcom MyChildAtSchool short videos. Again, we're looking at online payments today and we're going to focus on dinner money. So without any further ado, let's get into the software. And we're going to start off, as always, just checking the setup. So we're going into configuration, MyChildAtSchool and dinner money. And we're going to check that all our settings are correct for dinner money. So there are three panels to look at, really. First one, are we going to enable the dinner money module? Which, yes, we are. And we're going to enable it for all year groups. So all year groups can choose to have school dinners. We're going to show a little widget with a credit balance summary, which will show a credit in green. And if we allow a debit, that will show in red. And we're also going to show which meal the child took. When a parent's balance drops down below a certain amount, we will send reminders. We'll set that up in another widget. And we can decide not to allow parents to create negative balances on their dinner money. When they top up their child's account, we can also specify a minimum amount to put in. I put in £5.60, as our meals are £2.80, so the minimum deposit is for 2 meals. Moving over to the right-hand panel, dinner money reminders. So when their balance drops below £5.60, we're also going to send them a push notification through MCAS to say that their balance is getting low, and it will produce this message. I can add to that message, and I can use the dynamic fields to pick up more information about the child. And finally, at the bottom here, we've got our dinner money menus. We're enabling parents to select the meal for their child. So they will see a menu and be able to pick a meal. And they can do that up to the Friday of the week before. So they need to pick the next week's menu in its entirety. We're going to let them choose from the menu as far in advance as they'd like to do. If we know that after a certain date the menu is going to change and our company can provide a different cycle, we could say that we'll actually set that up until a certain date, and then they won't be able to choose any menus because we don't know what the menus will be. Just going to go up and save with the green button at the top. Just need to put a little tick in the box there, which I missed, and let's save. Okay, so we've done our general setup and we have our dinner money now enabled. We now need to go into the config menu again, but this time we're going to pop into dinner and we're going to set up our meal definitions. This is where we say how much a meal cost and which audience it's aimed at. So I've already done mine, so I'm just going to go in. I've just got student selected in the drop down there. We have SM, which is school meal, and if I double click in to show the details we've put in, it's available to all our year groups, and it costs £2.30 for the meal for everybody. Close that down. We also provide a sandwich which is cheaper, that's £1, and again that's available for all of our groups. In terms of our staff meals, if we decide that staff are able to eat in school, then we have got a school meal provided in school, which is £3, and we've got a duty meal, which has no charge associated with it. So we just need to make sure that we have a description of a meal for staff and for pupils. Okay, I'm now going to pop into the actual dinner menus, which is where we can produce a menu from which parents can choose what their child's going to eat. So let's have a look at our Autumn 25, which I was working on. To start off, so I've given it a title, I've given it a start and end date, and the number of weeks there are in a cycle. So, for example, we've got 3 weeks at this provider. So every fourth week they start back on week 1 in terms of what's available on the menu. Menu is available every day and is associated with all our year groups. Staff can choose dinners via the dinner balance widget, which will be in Bromcom rather than in MyChildAtSchool. And by default, student and staff will get the school meal as defined in the previous screen. There is an option here to link a menu to specific medical dietary needs, but only parents whose students have these conditions will be able to see the menus and make selections. So if we set up a menu specifically for gluten intolerant children, it would only show on their screens and they wouldn't see the other options. At the bottom of the screen, we have the ability to download an Excel template and then to bring in information from that template into our menus. What that does is if I just go and find one I created earlier, which we'll just pop into and bring this across. There we go. This allows me to copy from a menu, copy the types of meal, the description, any nutritional information which is available, and whether it's a main course or a side dish. And it will look something like this. So let me just expand the columns. So I've just been copying things over from a menu. So we've got the item, we've got a description, we've got some nutritional information, and we've got the category of meal it is. So I can import that menu item into the system, and it will bring all those items in so I can then pop them into a menu. On my next screen, you will see the items, the individual items which make up our menus. And you will see, for example, I've just gone past the chicken pie, which we had earlier, and the description, whether it's active, what type of item it is, and if I had a picture, I could upload a picture to my menu. So we have all our elements. We have them as main meals, we have them as side dishes, and we have desserts. So on the next screen, we can begin to put together a menu. I've already done 3 days, so let me go into Thursday. So we're going to add a choice in. I'm going to add in, first of all, what the main item is. So there's a choice of 2 main dishes in terms of there. They can also choose a baked potato, or they can choose a wrap. So I've got 4 options for the main choice of meal. We can then choose what they want to have with it, the side dish. So we're choosing from broccoli, florets, carrots, and we'll go to coleslaw. So we're adding 3 items as an accompaniment, and finally we're adding in our desserts. So we'll just pop down and find our dessert items. So 3 items they can choose for desserts. On the set menu would be any piece of information, any item which is always available on every day and is a set choice which you don't have to select because it's automatically provided. So for example, a piece of fruit here is always available for the children to choose. I could also add drinking water, etc. Save that down and we now have our choices available. So when the parent logs on to use the widget, they will see which information is available and which menu has been published to MCAS. So that would be the last things I do, is to mark the menu as complete, then to publish the menu to MCAS and to the staff dinner selection page. So I'll set that up, I'll publish it. Very briefly, let's pop into a student just to check what these look like. I'm using Arthur Anderson as my pupil I always check things with. Click on the green jelly belly in his profile, and we will see the dinner detail widget showing that he's had a school meal. I click the More button to drill into that. I will then see the options on the menu. Because we set it up for the end of last week, it's all locked, but I can go into next week's menu, and I can make choices for next week. And it's as simple as choosing which of the items we would like our child to have. And when they're selected, it shows as a green choice made. I can go back in still and alter that if I wish to, up to the cut-off point, which would be Friday for next week's meals. In terms of reports and being able to report to the kitchen, if we go to reports and dinner, you will see there are a large number of reports which are available, including one for the kitchen statistics, the catering return, and a variety of ones which allow you to track payments and how much the balances are across the system. So at any stage, there should be ways you can pull that information out of the system. So that only leaves me to say that if you have any issues, please contact SCOMIS for any further help on setting up your dinner money. And thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful.